This one is finances.
Woohoo!
Financial literacy. So
awesome. Okay, so everyone who's in this room, just know that we are recording this session. So hopefully that will be helpful to you at a later date, or maybe someone who couldn't come to the roundtable. So just want to preface with that. This topic is a roundtable. It's labeled as beginners or marketing or sales. So you could be here from lots of different, experience with advising yearbook. But really just going to kind of talk through budgets, how to decide how many books to order, and then we can talk about different kinds of ways to, make income in the yearbook business. You didn't realize as a yearbook advisor, you are also a business manager. So welcome to your second career in the business field. So we are happy to help you guys work through that today too.
okay. Do you want to start with a breakout first? How many people do we have in here right now? We have 48.
Mm-hmm.
We could start with a breakout about, going into yearbook, what's their biggest financial concern? Because some people are going to say, I don't have enough equipment, or I'm recovering from a deficit, or I want to be able to do all this stuff. How do I afford it? Okay. Cool. So let's do that. Let's do a breakout. Whoever our producer is right there. I think we've got 45 participants. What do you think? 6 each room?
Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, if you guys want to really, you don't have to solve the problem in the breakout. Maybe you can just voice the concerns, and then we'll bring them back to the group and we'll kind of brainstorm together. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
Sounds good. Hey guys, Amanda here. I will send you guys to breakouts. I'm not seeing the control, so I will run into the other room real quick and get it set up. 1 second. How much time did you guys want for the breakout?
It'll be quick.
Okay.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. And then one thing to note, on the last time we did a breakout, if you get into a room and no one else shows up, you can come back to the main room and we can chat in the main room, or you can go to a different breakout. So 1 second.
Be by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Stand by.
Cool. Let's see. Hey, David, how are you?
I'm good.
What year is this for you?
37.
Woohoo! Always learning, right?
Oh yeah, I just like to hear other people's ideas so I can make more money.
That's awesome. Hey, look, we got Teresa Proctor in here. Teresa, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous.
Are you here to share some wisdom with us as well?
No, I'm here to garner wisdom from the goddesses of yearbook.
It looks like Amanda's got the breakout rooms going, so if you get that little notice, go ahead and click join and we'll come back together in a minute.
How about my
It's
concerns?
lovely to see you.
Yeah, Gail, I put a star next to what you were saying because everyone needs to know the rest of that.
Okay.
Perfect transition.
The rest of that basically is I have a very controlling finance person who won't let me do sales on Balfour. And so it's very challenging to know. I'm always at her bequest, can I please get the list of students who bought a yearbook? Can I know? And so we're always running a deficit, and we've been trying to close that gap for 4 years. And even when we think we've sold all the books and we're making a profit this year, somehow she hands me a bill that says, no, look, you are still, you still owe us you still owe ASB $900, or I think it's this year's $1,000. I mean, it's just crazy because neither my rep nor I can figure out how she figures this out.
All right, I've got you on the list. Okay, we're gonna come back to that because I think that's a whole category of topic that we can address. Okay, Velisa, where's Monique back? Is Monique back? There,
She should be there.
Right here.
Hi.
Hi. I was talking about photo commission, and Kel wanted me to talk about that real fast so that people know to ask for that.
Yes.
So, and I think Monique would concur with this. I saw her mention this yesterday, and we saw this yesterday too, Kelly, about selling burritos. And what was your take on that? Like, don't sell anything that you can
could buy with change. Like, if it is such a low dollar amount that someone could come up to you with a fistful of coins, like I want high dollar stuff. Like, I don't want to waste time with coins. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. So what my students, we have 3 things that we sell. We sell the book, first and foremost. That's our big one. Second, we sell senior ads. We don't sell business ads. If you can, more power to you. But we don't, because our community has already been drained by the sports program. And if you think for 1 second that they aren't having a sports program this year, you are dead wrong, because they have already been emailing all of us saying, join the sports program. I mean, I should have no question there's a yearbook. They're having a sports program, okay? So, and then the third one, this is the one that people don't know about, is commission, photo commission. So whoever you contract with, ours is Life Touch and Prestige, we get a percentage of all of the packages that they sell. So I collect from them 3 checks a year, one for underclassmen, another for senior portraits that are sold, and then there's even another one that's a smaller one that happens to come in the summer for seniors that have still been buying packages and portrait packages after the yearbook is done, and they make sure I get that. Now, you're supposed to get that. If you are walking into a new situation, chances are your bookkeeper gets it or your principal gets it, and it goes to the general fund. You need to think about having a conversation with your administration or with your bookkeeper, because I know during the year, whenever a parent says, hey, we took our photo, but we didn't get the photo package, or why isn't my kid's senior photo in the yearbook? You know, I'm the one that has to answer those phone calls and do all that troubleshooting. So my program is the one that is checking to make sure everyone's been photographed. That commission needs to come back to us.
So Velisa, also to play off of that, because to Stephanie's question is, you know, you do all the work. Like if you're running your school picture day, you're also putting all those pictures. Some of you don't do your picture day, but you're also putting all those pictures in the book. And so the way I argued it with our school was, you know, hey, if we didn't have to put the pictures in the book, I could save thousands and thousands of dollars, because it costs me so much money for every page, every signature I have to put in the book. And when I ran through the numbers with our CTE person, she was shocked, because it was, I mean, we ran like 80 pages of people pictures, and she was shocked how much money it was. And I said, you know, that photo commission pays for me to pay for those pages. So that's one of your arguments.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. Sometimes it's, you know, it's just kind of whichever the way the wind blows. My district has 7 high schools, and we all have that in place. You know, I came into a situation where the principal was opening the campus and he wanted half of it. And so, you know, I let him do that for a year, but then after that I was like, okay, we're done. And so it was just, you know, it's something that I kind of was lucky that the district had that in place. But please, if you don't, I like these comments, don't you manage picture day? And then what Kel was saying about the number of pages and the cost, perfect. Absolutely, that all goes to that argument.
Well, and like Kel just said, if you're not getting picture day money and you're running picture day, then that needs to go. That's a job for someone else, you know?
Exactly.
So when you're running picture day, that is so much work to, you know, contact the teachers, to make a schedule, to troubleshoot, like, and it's in your best interest that if you're running picture day, like, you want it to be a success. You want everyone to buy pictures. You want everyone to be photographed. So yeah, picture day is a really good way to make sure that that section is super solid. It has as many people as possible, and also that you've earned that money. You've earned it.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you didn't know that, there you go. There's some money for next year.
Let's see. Speaking of next year, social media. I usually get a lot of questions from people about, you have social media. You know, in the past few years, I have gotten asked fewer about, well, your administration lets you have social media. And mostly that's because administration has come around and not just in the big schools like Allen High School, but in all schools, and said, wow, we really need to have a social media presence, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They're learning that more and more now because they want to communicate with families. So this year is one of those where I think everyone needs to be on social media and showing proof of the work that you're doing. So get a spread done, get a killer breaker spread, get a few done as fast as you can and put them on social media and let your campus retweet them, do whatever you can to get them out there. And I think that's going to help kind of spur your sales at the beginning and let your families know this is still a part of what we're doing, recording the history. I have a couple of different Instagram accounts. Let me see. I'm going to try and share my screen. Is that okay? I already have these called up. Let me find them. Okay. I'll try here. We'll see. Okay, if you can see that. Okay, so this is our JAG student media account that doesn't have that many followers. I have to tell you, don't be dismayed by that because I set this up and timed it. I have the post timed on Creator Studio. And even though it only says I have 120 followers, in Creator Studio, I can see the analytics. And we were getting thousands of views on this. So the kids aren't joining as a follower because they're too cool for school, but they are definitely seeing the posts, okay? And so when we had our 4 days of graduation, we promoted it just like everyone else. I was using Canva to, make little posts on there. We had all sorts of things. We were doing screenshots from the yearbook. So even though we were kind of waiting for the yearbooks to come in, just like everyone else, we were doing these fun mock-ups that you can do through Photoshop where, and luckily, these mock-ups look super real. Luckily, we didn't get anybody saying, what do you mean the yearbook isn't there? I saw it on Instagram. No, that was a trick of Photoshop. But we put everything in there and did a countdown. So now it's going to go in reverse. The other thing was if you go to Twitter, same thing, okay? Not a lot of followers, but we can see it getting work through the analytics or getting some attention. Same thing. You can create these fun little GIFs to drive people to the Instagram, fun mock-ups. And now we're going to do it the other direction where we're showing individual spreads so that we can tell people this is something that's still happening, okay?
Cool. Hey, so something that David had mentioned in our breakout, which I think is a good connection between a financial concern and a marketing opportunity, is that he has a strong program. He's got good sales, but he's concerned about people buying at this upcoming year because school is so different. And so I think that this is a really great opportunity for all of us to think about how we are marketing our book and just thinking outside of the box of the usual, because of all years that something is different, this is the year you want to document. And so I think we have to take that as a marketing slogan. We have to embrace that and say, yeah, it's so different. It's so weird. Aren't you're going to want this
Exactly.
in a book. And so I see a concern because, yeah, your kids might not be on campus or you might be going back and forth. And so we're worried about that kind of face-to-face interaction. But I think the marketing opportunities of documenting a historical event are so cool. And you're going to see a lot of creativity there.
Right. And that's why I said, I think we're going to be getting kids in the yearbook that maybe we hadn't before or hadn't reached before, especially if we go that route like Samantha talked about in the keynote where you're crowdsourcing, where you're really reaching out to families and saying, help us document this, help us do this for our students. That I still, I think it's really important for our students to have.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we have any other questions right there?
Yeah, well, I pulled another question from my breakout. And so I know that we have all different levels of advising. We've got first years and we've got people who are in their 30 plus years of advising. But for someone who is just getting started and they're like, how does the yearbook financial part even work? So I know that can be very detailed, but it was Deanna had asked this This is her first year. So welcome, Deanna. You're doing a good job by being at this Zoom meeting. So props to you. You're on the right track. But she just like doesn't even know where to start with financials. And so she has access to last year's stuff. So I just wanted to do a super quick, like 2-minute breakdown of, hey, you're new. Here's a pathway to follow.
Okay.
So
is that me or you? You set that up like you had it all under control.
That's the best thing that I do, is setting up things for someone else to take control. So Deanna, honestly, the first thing that you've done already, which is looking at last year's, is awesome. And so I would sit down with my rep and look at all the details that you know from last year. How many books you sold, and you could also break it down to like what time of the year that you sold certain books, how many pages, is that proportional correctly to the number of students that you have. And Balfour has some fantastic worksheets. We hear worksheet and we're like, oh, worksheet. But sometimes, especially with math stuff, you just need to get the numbers on paper and you need to start making a plan. And so Balfour has some really good resources as far as figuring out how big your book should be, talking about prices, talking about different cover options. And so this really is a conversation with your rep, and they can walk you through how much different things cost. And you know, sometimes there's almost an incentive for your kids to work really hard and make a certain sales goal, because that might mean that then you could afford a specialty cover material. So there's so much that is individual, you know, it's program by program. But for very basic stuff, you've got the Balfour stuff. All right, idea?
I was gonna say, yeah. Monique, are you there? This is where too, I always like to get Monique's input as a rep, because I know I use, what had been SmartPay. So when you're talking with your rep, there's more than one option that you can use that Balfour provides. I use SmartPay, and that's set up for me. So then all I have to worry about is the marketing part, like the fun social media. I mean, I'm still looking at the bookkeeping and all of that, don't get me wrong, but they send out, part of my program is they are sending out mailers home. They have an 800 number. They are doing all of that for me. And if Monique is there, I think the reps, there are other programs that are available. Like I have a certain one. Monique, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what are the other options that reps can offer? Because you and I know the one that I had was kind of like the big one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's 3 options that when you set up your store in your marketplace store setup, which I recommend setting up your store regardless of if you're going to sell online or on campus, because that gets all of your choices there. So when you print out order forms through the Balfour website or you enter on-campus orders, it has all the information there to pull from. So you know your data, you know your sales data. But there's 3 options. There's the Balfour Marketplace. There's just Marketplace, which used to be SmartPay. Sorry, Balfour Marketplace, which is just you want to sell your book online. You just want to put it up, a link online for parents to buy. And that costs, I think it costs $1 per book, but the cost does not come from the yearbook account. It goes to the consumer as like a convenience fee or something. Balfour makes absolutely no money off of that $1. It goes to the credit card companies. So you set up just a straight up marketplace, that's $1 per book. And then you have the Marketplace Home, which are the home mailers, formerly known as SmartPay. The mailers that get out to the community in their home mailbox, and you have to obtain a list, like a directory from your registrar with names, last name, first name, their grade, their home address, city, state, zip, stuff like that. So that way your SmartPay representative or your Marketplace Home representative can work with that and get those mailed out to you. They usually send about 3 per year. And that costs like I think it's $4.90 for every book that you sell through that program. So even if you have 3,000 students that go to your school, if you only sold 80 books through the SmartPay program, then they'll only charge you $4.90 for however many books you sold. And that's how much it would cost for that one. And then you have the Marketplace School, where I think that's half the cost. It's like $2 something per student enrolled. on the list that you send them, and they send the school personalized mailers with the student's name and all the choices that you're offering them, but you have to do the mailing out through your school mailing system. That's usually the one that a lot of advisors go with if they cannot get a list out from their registrar, but they do still want to do the mailings locally. Then they just Balfour just needs the list of the names. They don't need addresses. They just need student names so they can personalize them. They don't even have to personalize them. They can just send you generic ones that are glossy, nice and printed, and you can get them sent out through your school mailing. So there's the three options.
Yeah, I think, get with your rep and figure out financially of the options that Balfour has available, which one is the most cost effective for you. I have had, I think, Monique, with some of those too, can't they add senior ads online?
Yes, you can sell your ads online as well. You can sell anything really through the online store. If you wanted to sell prom tickets through there, you could. You can just do a custom item and make money for whatever you want. If people will buy it and you got to give to them, you can sell it. But yeah, you can also put the senior ads based on, do you want them to do ad space or ad builder? And that's a whole other topic that we could get into. And that can go on the form too that they send and mail out. When they send out those mailers too, the option to buy online is always there. So if they don't, they can send in a check, they can call in, through the 800 number and buy through their credit card. That way they can go online and do credit card. They can send a money order. All the money gets handled, gets sent to the Balfour plant. So that way the advisor does not have to deal with any of that stuff. And that is the best thing about those, the home mailing program, is that you get a separate customer service representative. In addition to your sales rep and your AE, you get one other person that is there to help you through all the sales aspect. For some schools, it's Candy Altina. For others, it's it just depends. There's like 3 or 4 of them that do that job, and you have an extra person to help you through it, which I think is totally worth it.
Very much worth it. It
takes that off of your plate.
Yeah, I have a bookkeeper, and she, is a great bookkeeper and very experienced, and she's always so excited when I use Balfour. Are we still there? There you go. Everybody froze for a minute on my end. She's always so excited that I use Balfour because that takes off a large chunk of bookkeeping for us. At that point, then we're just, we get to worry about the fun stuff, which is marketing and, how are we going to spend the money that we make? And I'm noticing some questions about, somebody said they have a hard time getting a student list for the e-marketing. I know in my district, and Monique can speak to this too, we had a time where we were dealing with, okay, you get this small consolidated list. We will not give you the full list for the campus because of FERPA. And it took a little bit of needling, and going back and forth, but we were able to finally say, no, we are a school, this is a school product, that we are not like a third party kind of thing. We need the full list. And so now without question, we get a full list, but it took a little bit of back and forth. You just have to keep on and on.
Hey, Velisa, I have something to add to that on FERPA. In fact, I covered it in my session on e-marketing. But if you look at the language of FERPA, I didn't even know this until recently, that it actually describes yearbook companies that manufacture yearbooks and rings as examples of companies that do not require written consent to give directory information to. So it's right there in the data. I think it hasn't always been that way. So I think that's why a lot of people just kind of generically push back. But this part of our contractual agreement with your school is to help you, raise the money to pay for pay that bill. So yeah, it's definitely good.
Is they will turn over the list to the photo company for the photos and never bat an eye, never ask a question, because they want those photos for ID purposes. And they never think about it. And they will also, we don't use Balfour on my campus for class rings. They use another company and they get the money for that. So of course they give them the full list and they don't think, a minute about it. And so I was like, how does this work? It doesn't, this is not, and so, you just have to keep pushing about that.
If you need an extra level of support on that too, like if you need something in writing,
to send to your administrators. There is an email privacy policy PDF that you can download when you go to the Sell It e-marketing link and you're ready to start a campaign. Off on the right-hand side in Studio Balfour, there's an email privacy policy PDF that you can print, send it to your administration, where it lays it out and it says, these are the purposes of what this list is. We're not using it for any other purpose. It's like, that way you have, you know, something in writing to back you up when you say, no, I promise we're not going to use it for anything else. That may help you with getting your administrators on board as well. And if you need an official email from like your rep or the general manager, even from the company, they'll just talk to your rep and they'll get it to you. That way you feel more comfortable with asking for that information, and administration doesn't say no. Like if they keep telling you no, then you have something to back up why this is legit.
I'm going to post the FERPA link. I saw your message there, Teresa. So I'm just going to give you the link to it. And if you search in there for just the word yearbook, you'll see there's a line that says that yearbook is part of, you know, where you can use this information. But then there's another part that says outside organizations include, but are not limited to, companies that manufacture class rings or yearbooks. So I think it's pretty cool.
That's
in there.
handy.
Yeah.
Also, take advantage of, I know my campus a few years ago finally got the ability, or my district, to let us have stuff go online outside of, so we have on my campus, we have the Balfour sales tools that we use, you know, like the formerly Smart Pay program. But then on campus, we also have the ability, like Cheer has the ability to collect t-shirt money online. There's a little bit of an upcharge because if a parent wants to use a credit card, there's a convenience fee. And I have had advisors tell me before, oh, well, I couldn't give that, you know, to parents. I wouldn't put that burden on parents. Please let the parents decide that. Every year we do senior ads, and some of our ads can be really expensive. And I set it up online with our bookkeeper. She told me what the fee was going to be and how did I want to roll that in. Did I want to absorb it or did I want the parents to do it? You know, we were kind of testing it out a couple of years ago, and, you know, our parents still bought. And you know, you might not think it's the best idea, but we have parents who, if they can purchase something with a credit card at certain points of the month or in their lives, they want to do that. They want that option. So let them have that option and let them make that for themselves. Please don't think, oh, well, I couldn't ask my parents to do that. Again, let the parents be the judge of that for themselves. So if your district is doing something like allowing students to pay lunches, like a lot of districts now, you can debit like a lunch account. Chances are there's something there too where you can set up a store through your school bookkeeper. That is also one other thing that can help you. So that's probably the nuts and bolts part of it. But I'm seeing also someone said like an event is canceled. Did you see that, Kelly? Somebody said an event's canceled and I would typically sell.
Oh, that, yeah, like a back to school event. They would normally sell like
bulk of the books.
Half of their year's sales would be at that back to school event. So yeah, I mean, this is the year to be creative, and we can look at it and say, dang, that really hurts because this was my thing, but we might be able to brainstorm and come up with something even more out of the ordinary. And maybe this is the year that we do rely really heavily on social media, or if we have it in our budget to do the mailers. Hopefully we will, at your school at some point, will be in person. And so take advantage of those opportunities that we get to get back together and turn it into something that is a celebration. We have students coming up next week to pick up their ID badges and their devices, since we are starting the school year virtually. And we have turned it into a party. And so as they drive up, you know, there's going to be the drum line's going to have some drumming. I mean, PTA moms are going to have their signs and whatever. But we also invited clubs and orgs to like make a big QR code and put it on a poster board, because all these students are having to come through this line. So we have a captive audience, and we're already going to have a celebration of these other people. So put your yearbook sales stuff up there as well. But basically just take every opportunity that you're given and think creatively of like, how can I get my kids in front of these people? How can I get in front of a buyer? How can I get in front of a mom or a dad? And it might just be really weird this year because we're doing things we're not used to, and that's okay.
Well, and also my principal sends out, you know, especially now that we're going to be virtual for maybe just the first 3 weeks, maybe longer. You know, in the spring, he was sending out emails, and I would kind of defer to him and say, hey, you know, I know we're dealing with really big stuff right now, but I kind of need this email to go out. I don't have the ability to email everyone. He has to do that. And he was game. He was ready to do it. You know, he would put it in with whatever. And so I think that's another thing is talking to admin. You don't want to overwhelm your parents with emails. They're going to be getting a whole bunch, but looking for those windows of opportunity and talking to your administrator. Hey, I know our parents are getting overwhelmed with email. Do you think the next time there's a window of opportunity, I could get this out there because I really need my parents to know about this, or I really need our community to know about this. The one thing that really helped us out, and if there's any way you can leverage this, back to whoever is in charge of your senior photos. That was me, right? So I had all the senior photos and the connections with Prestige. So at the end of the year, when they were looking for those photos for virtual graduation, who had access to the photos? That was me. I knew who had taken, who had not, you know, how we were going to get them, all of that kind of stuff. And he was my BFF for several weeks. And I think he realized at that point that, you know, it's not just that we create a yearbook. We are the historians, we are the record keepers, you know, we have all of that stuff. And so our relationship changed from there. And now I would say I'm probably getting called a lot more than I thought I opened the door for, but it's nice because I think he gets the importance of where we fit in and what our responsibility is. So.
Hey, so one of the questions that came in my breakout that I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to talk about, just because I think that this is probably a common concern. Alicia, she was telling us that she sold about 175 last year, and she has a school of 1,200. She's a Title I school, and so they're just really struggling to increase sales. So I was wondering, over in the chat, you can offer some ideas as well, but I wanted to brainstorm out loud, just increasing sales with keeping in mind that Title I aspect. Like money is difficult, and it's, and sales have stayed pretty low. Things that come to mind first are, if people, so this is different than marketing, because I mean, people might know about the book, but they just can't afford it. And so they have to choose, like, you know, mom is going to say, why, you know, this is a very big expense for our family. So how are we going to afford this? So first things that come to mind are offering payment plans, breaking it down as far as even maybe just putting down a down payment of $20. $20 will secure you a book, and, you know, make that a pretty early deadline so that you kind of get those early sales goals met. And then you can work with kids throughout the year as far as, you know, you have an extra $5 here, $10 there. You could make it on a case-by-case basis. I don't know how many kids, you know, it just depends. Like that could be a lot. Or you could have different breaks throughout the year. Like in October, you're going to pay another $20, or after Christmas, another $20. But payment plans can be really helpful for families that are struggling, but have the desire to get a book.
I didn't, have we had schools before, or Monique, have you seen those schools, like businesses maybe don't buy ads, but they contribute to a fund to be able to sponsor books. And then you can ask administrators or faculty, hey, which of our seniors are, you know, really deserving of a book and maybe wouldn't have one otherwise. So getting sponsorships like that is another route.
Yeah, so like the way some staffs do it, like they'll go out and they'll do ad sales, and if the ad, they'll go out to businesses and they'll try to sell them an ad first if they want to buy an ad. And if the business, you know, says, well, we already contributed to the athletic program and we've used all of our ad budgets on that, we really can't do it for y'all, then you can offer them a, like, maybe, well, then would you be willing to donate to our business sponsorship, where we'll put your name on a sponsorship page in the ad section of the yearbook, and it's like you can donate like $20 or something like that, like a $20 sponsorship. And then they'll be probably maybe more likely to give you some money than none for a sponsorship. You can also, I've had some schools that have sold page sponsorships where like they do the FFA page or something like that, and they go to the local feed store or something, and they tell them, hey, our FFA is on page 32 and we'd like for you to sponsor it, since you're one of our vendors that we go to for all of our stuff. We'll put your name, or we'll put a little picture or logo of your store on that page, and it costs like $10 or $20 or something like that. So that's a way for you to kind of get some money into your ads program, even if for businesses, even if you're not going to sell business ads themselves or something. That's,
yeah, and use that to be able to buy copies. And like I said, talk to you know, senior class sponsors, talk to counselors, and find those students who you know, would really appreciate a book, and especially if you're at a Title I school and may not be able to afford one. And I see somebody is saying that I work with our counselors that give me the number of students who might need some help, and we have community contacts that we can reach out to, and teachers who will buy a book for students.
Yeah, well, we will have teachers who will want to buy for someone. Other things are, think about all the different kinds of budgets that your campus has. And so like for our campus, I'm an abnormally large campus. And so we have 7 student principals, like an assistant principal, like all the kids fall under one of 7 principals. And so they have their own house budget, and they can set aside a little bit of money to be able to say, you know, yeah, I'm going to be able to cover 4 kids' books or something like that. And they know situations so much. Like, I just don't want to get in the situation game, because at the end of the year, I'm hearing a lot of things and I feel terrible because I'm an emotional woo-woo person. It makes me feel sad, and I just want everyone to have a book, but like,
right,
logistically I cannot afford that. And so if I am able to let that be a decision made from a counselor or a house office, and that's really laid out way in advance, like house offices, you know, use your budget and you know, think of 4 people or more or whatever. We've had a lot of good success with that.
Somebody's asking the question, this is my 10th year and it's at least the 11th year that we have not raised the price of the book. Is that normal? How often do schools raise their prices? I'm also at a Title I school. This will be my 13th year and I have never raised the price of my book. And I'm at a big school that it sells a lot of books. I just never have. I've actually kind of advertised the fact that we've never raised the price. Like, we're still, you know, here at this price. If you can, I guess if you can do it without raising the price, that helps with that pitch of we're doing this for the students. You know, especially, what do you think, Monique or Kelly?
I'm trying to think. In 9 years, I think I raised the price once, and it was maybe 3 or 4 years in, and it was a nominal, it was like $5 difference. Where I have really analyzed prices are senior ads. And I like to think that even if you were broke, like, you would buy the book. So the senior ad is more of a luxury. And so I feel like that's where more of the expendable income gets. And so I don't feel as bad about adjusting those prices on a more regular basis. But yeah, I try to keep the price of the book pretty similar from year to year. I can only think of one time that we increased it, and it was $5.
Yeah. We haven't raised our price on books or senior ads, but I will say we are probably one of the higher priced senior ads out there. And set your senior ad prices so that you make more money selling a page of quarter page ads than a full page. I would rather sell 4 quarter page ads than a full page ad. I know everyone looks at the full page and it's like, wow, that's impressive. Their families really love them. They got a full page. But I'm behind the scenes going, oh, quarter page ads, awesome, you know. So think about it like that.
Yeah, like take the price of the full page ad and for half, divide it in half, but then add like $3 or $5 to that price. So that way it's really more economical for them to buy the full page. But I mean, if they thinking, oh, well, $25 is more doable, well, you're really making more money off of that, you know, quarter page ad, because it's not really proportionate to the money in the space. You're kind of making a little bit more money off of it, and those help. And as far as raising the price of the book for me, the years that I did a yearbook at the high school in the same district that Velisa's at, we had a max price that we wouldn't go over. And we just never change it. We would start out the year at like maybe $60. And then as the year went on, we would add $5 in the next month. Now it's 65 next month, 70 next month, 75, until we reached our max price of the book. But we always made sure that our lowest price was the cost of the book without any ad support. You know, or if you're in one of those situations where you can't, I mean, the book is $80, so I can't sell the book for $80, then we would try to work it where they'd be more affordable, but we would sell the money for our ad, like raise the prices on our ads so we can kind of make it up somewhere. Definitely count on that photo commission money to help us out, but we would just kind of budget with our rep to make sure that we can make it affordable. But I never really changed the price of the book. Once I reached my max point, I wouldn't go like, okay, so my max is 100, but this year my max is going to be 110. Like, no, I would stay at that max and not go above it.
For families that don't see the value or fun of a yearbook, I'm looking at this question. How do you get the buy-in? 80% of my school still doesn't buy a yearbook, many because $20 is still too expensive for them, but also many because they don't see a reason to buy one. You know, that's difficult. We have done things before, sometimes like had faculty bring in their yearbook to me and tweeted photos, or we've asked faculty like during an advisory period or whatever, if you bring your yearbook and share it with your students. And the kids really dug it. I mean, we'd also want to find like the oldest teacher on campus and get their book. And we'd run them on Twitter and be like, can you guess who this faculty member is? So that they see it really is something that you hold on to and has significance for you in the future. Oh, the faculty won't buy me. I'm talking about the faculty ones from like, you know, their own yearbooks from when they were in high school. That's one, you know, kind of fun way to do it. But yeah, you're talking about changing a whole culture. Kelly, do you have any input on that?
Well, my best suggestion for getting people to care about the book and want the book is to get them in the book.
Right.
And so you want to make sure that you're basically guaranteeing them, if you buy this book, you're going to be in it a lot. And so Marilyn has a saying, you know, every yearbook, every kid in it should be a person and a personality. So is that her saying? Person and a personality?
You have
so you have your ID, your picture, you know, like just your little mugshot picture. That's your person. That doesn't tell you anything about you. But the things that are in the rest of the book, as far as being parts of clubs and participating in things, that's where your personality shows. So the more times that you can get a kid in the book, that's great. And then you can use that as a marketing technique and say, hey, you're in the book 3 times and I've noticed that you haven't bought one. What can we do to help you, you know, get a book bought? So the more you can get kids in, and that's where you'll see advisors talk about, you know, a minimum number of times in the book. And depending on how big your school is, you can get kids in there 2 times. Some people say 3 times. And you can be so creative about where a kid is in the book. You can put them in the folio, you know, they have little pictures of kids in the folio, and encouraging your students to have, you know, like more pictures on a spread. Like maybe you standard only have 7 pictures on a spread. Well, this year we're going to get more kids in there, so we're going to say like 10 pictures, or maybe our stories only interview 2 people. Well, next year we're going to add 3 people. That gets a kid in the book again. So the more times you can make it valuable to that particular kid, that they're going to see themselves and they're going to see their friends, I think they would want to buy that.
And put that out on social media as much as you can. You know, tag people and let them know that they're in there. When we are on campus, we will even print out spreads, and we will go and put them, preview spreads. We'll put them in the English classrooms because everybody has to have an English class. And we put them on the inside of the classroom door. We have to get permission to hang stuff in the halls. Well, that's a pain in the butt. And I have a big building. So I'll have a kid say, go take this to your English teacher and put it on the inside door. Everyone has an English class and everyone has to go through the front door. So they're gonna see it when they leave. And we'll, you know, have the website where you can buy and all that kind of stuff like that. But let people know what you're working on. Promote your program. We all know that the band practices, that the athletes practice. We all know that's going on because when you are, you know, on campus, you see it. Now, I know I'm thinking about last year. I'm not thinking about this year. I'm trying to ignore that this year's about to happen. But we all know that, okay? But Yearbook is doing the same thing. Your kids are working hard. They're brainstorming, they're designing, they're taking photos. Promote what your kids are doing. Get that out there on Twitter, on Instagram, so that people see that your kids are putting in the effort to make it too. That's another part of it, is they need to support, you know, the student program and know that you really are working on it. It's not just a scrapbook. It's not just something that only Yearbook kids and their friends are going to be in. So
it's good
I think
tips.
we got about 2 minutes left in the session, y'all. So maybe time for another question before we wrap up.
I think we could almost repeat what we said at the very beginning. Be thoughtful about how you're raising money for the book, because you could just beat yourself into the ground doing things that raise such small amounts of money, and you'll hear, you know, a bake sale, or, you know, just such small things. And so I would encourage you to think big picture and time management. So invest a little in a bigger event, whether it's senior ads or taking over picture day, so that you get a bigger payoff in the end. I hate that people just work so hard for these bake sales that don't make anything. I want your time to be worth more than that.
Yeah, it needs to be working on the book. And then look for, like we said, opportunities to promote yourself, to get people excited about what you're doing. The one I talked about with having your faculty bring in their yearbook, there you go. That's my freshman high school yearbook. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's small and black and white. It is awful. But I still have it, right?
It's so important to you, and you can talk about what it means to you.
Right. So that's something fun. And you'd be surprised, even in Zoom, you could ask teachers, you know, while we're looking for ways to bond with kids over Zoom, you know, have your teachers on Zoom with their classrooms, find their yearbooks and share it. I think that's something fun too, like a bonding thing to do over Zoom. We're all going to be looking for ways to get to know, have relationships with our kids when maybe they're not in the same room with us. So
cool. It was good to talk to you guys today. Hopefully somebody got something that they didn't know before to take back with them, and at least be encouraged. We are here to support you. We want your yearbook to be awesome.